In the following video, what I would like to describe or explain is the fitting of the TUS level zones to the TUS data and how that can be adjusted to give you the correct analysis of the three individual TUS levels that we see on the screen at the moment. When we apply the TUS level file to the data, initially you'll see that the zones of the analysis bands are in red. This is because they don't necessarily fit the data correctly and they need adjustment. That adjustment is very easy within the Thermal View software, and it gives you full control over how you select which data you include at each TUS level. To adjust the actual bands of the TUS analysis that you're performing at each TUS level, the important thing to remember first of all is to select the temperature data button in the analysis menu. This will then give you full adjustment control over the bands of the TUS on the graphical view, so you can select exactly what data is included in the analysis set that is then reported. Having selected temperature data, using the mouse you can click on the red band of the TUS level with the right hand mouse button, and you can drag the actual band left or right, and that will then allow you to fit the bands to the data. As you can see in this magnified view here, we have we've adjusted the red bands to then show the overshoot search down to 55 degrees below the TUS level as defined in AMS 2750. We have our stabilize zone, and we also have our survey time zone. The times of these are actually governed by the TUS level file that you have set up, but you can adjust where they occur on the actual raw data. Having adjusted these zones to where you want them to be, if you right click again, it will lock them in place. It may be possible that you're doing a TUS where the TUS levels may not increase in temperature one after the other. You may have a first TUS level at a higher temperature to the second TUS level. In this circumstance, obviously we will not have an overshoot search of 55 degrees below the second TUS level. It isn't physically possible. So in this circumstance, the software will automatically adjust the way that the zones are displayed on the screen. There'll be no overshoot search for the second TUS, but you can adjust the boundary level of that using the mouse function as you did conventionally with the first TUS. So we're ignoring the overshoot search for the second TUS level because obviously the data is falling, therefore is not underneath the lower TUS level that you are using in that particular second TUS parameter set. So let us now see how we use the Thermal View survey software to apply and adjust the TUS levels for this specific TUS run with 3 levels. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the TUS levels and select the appropriate TUS level file that we've got set up at plus or minus 14 degrees, and I'm going to apply that to the survey level itself. As I've suggested, the TUS levels haven't been correctly positioned relative to the data. That needs manual adjustment, which we're going to show you how to do now. So as I said, if you click on the temperature data button in the menu item, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom into this first level so we can see a little bit clearer what we're doing. I've moved the mouse up to the red band, click with the right mouse button, and you can see the double-headed arrow. I can then, with the left mouse, I can then drag this to the right, You can see now clearly the three zones of the TUS that we're performing: the overshoot search, the stabilize, and the TUS time. They're still in red because they're still out of spec. The purple trace channel 6 is out of spec, but if we drag it along far enough to the right, eventually we now have a situation. If I stop that now, we have all of the thermocouples within tolerance, within the stabilize, and also the TUS time. So you can see clearly the pink, the grey, and the green bands, and that is accurately positioned relative to the TUS data to give a successful analysis result for that first TUS level. To lock that in place, I simply click the right button, and you'll see now that they are fixed permanently to the data. And all of the analysis results will now use these three zones and the data within them to give the results of the TUS, which we'll cover in a later video. If I go out again, go to full zoom, let's just do the same thing quickly for the second zone. So again, take the mouse, I'm in temperature data, take the mouse up to the red box, click the right mouse button, double-headed arrow, drag along until I get all of the data successfully within the stabilize and the TUS time zone. Again, right mouse button to lock that in place, and again we are successful. And you can see in the raw temperature data table below, the data that's actually in the three zones is then color coded to match where those relevant zone markings are on the TUS level as we've set up. If I go back to the database, I'm now going to pick a different run. This is an example where we have the first TUS level being higher than the second TUS level. If we look at the first TUS level, we've got the adjustment. If I wanted to, I can make some minor adjustments to this, its relative position, lock it in place. Just going to go back to full zoom. Now let's deal with the second TUS level. Zoom in carefully. You'll notice now that there is no overshoot search box below the lower TUS level. But I can now, in temperature data again, right click, I can drag the stabilize and the TUS time zones relative to the data, but I can also define where the start of the overshoot search occurs. So you have full control over, again, those three bands in the software you have. Remember, you can adjust the position of the bands, but you can't adjust the actual time frame of the various zones because that's governed by the TUS level file itself. I'm going to lock those zones in place and go back to the full zoom, and I can now see that I've got the TUS levels correctly set up for my first higher TUS level and my second lower TUS level.